How much money does it take to buy a house today? It's kind of a loaded question. The short answer is it depends on if you're getting a loan or not. Now, about 75% of you will get a loan. So I'm going to go ahead and answer it towards that 75%. I would recommend that you have funds available to pay for your earnest money deposit, your closing costs, your down payment, as well as I recommend my buyers also pay for a professional home inspection. So I'm going to talk about these individually, but I first just kind of want to give you a spoiler alert. It's going to amount typically to at least 5 to 10% of the purchase price should be available as far as what it would cost to buy a house today. So let's get started. The earnest money deposit is typically between 1 and 3%. If you have available funds, if you're in a competitive bidding environment, maybe on one particular property, I do recommend that the higher the earnest money deposit you can do, that you go that route. It shows goodwill to the seller, and I don't want you to think that there's a safety issue. It's only going to be delivered if you get an accepted deal. And even then, it's going to be sitting in a trust account with the escrow company till the close of escrow, which will typically be about 30 days. If there were a cause to go ahead and need to get out of the deal, it's not a problem. Your contingencies in your purchase contract will allow you to get back the earnest money deposit. No harm, no foul. So don't worry about the safety issue. Feel comfortable going with as high as earnest money deposit as it needs to beat out your competition. The next would be the down payment. Now, down payments really, you could view it as maybe 3 to 5%, but even that depends on the loan product that you're using. For example, the FHA government loan, easy to qualify for, is only 3.5% down. And the corresponding loan would be, for example, 96.5%. The issue with FHA loan is that it has mortgage insurance for the life of the loan, which is just simply an insurance policy that the lender has for themselves to get paid in case the borrower defaults. So there's an additional expense that doesn't go away. However, the conventional product starts at even as low as 3%. And the advantage is that it has mortgage insurance. That's true, but it does go away at a certain point, typically when you get towards 20% equity position. Conventional loans, however, are harder to qualify for. Typically, are looking for higher FICO scores, and if you're looking in our area, for example, it would likely be a jumbo loan. And jumbo loans with conventional, they don't start at 3% down. You may be putting down 5 or even 10%. Just a just a heads up there. So that's how the down payment would look for those two loans. There are other loans, however, and the one that comes to mind would be the 100% financing that the Veterans Administration offers. The VA loan is a brilliant, brilliant loan. And certainly if you're a vet or one of the qualified individuals that can go ahead and be allowed a VA loan, I do highly recommend that you pursue that. They look at eligibility requirements, so make sure that you're doing all your prep work first before you get out shopping for a home with the VA, because you want to make sure you've got a good fit with the VA. Another 100% financing loan would be the USDA. Now that is specifically just for rural locations, and we have a few here locally. Napomo, outside of Arroyo Grande, outside of Atascadero. So we do have a few USDA loans. Area territories available, 100% financing. Do remember, though, however, that with the price points today, the beauty of a low down payment typically means a correspondingly higher mortgage payment. So there's kind of a dual-edged sword there. Moving on, the closing costs are going to be for title fees, escrow fees, third-party service providers like homeowners insurance, maybe flood insurance, fire insurance. You have lender fees. These can typically, easily cost between 1 and 2% of the purchase price of the home. So be prepared for those. And then looking at that last one, that professional home inspection, again, I recommend my buyers do that because it does cost out of pocket. That's true. You're going to pay for it at the time of the service. But that report, that inspection report that's given back to me, gives me an opportunity to go ahead and renegotiate price. after we've already established the terms. Uh, it allows me to look at either the seller doing repairs, the seller going with a price reduction, or the seller giving us a seller credit towards close. In either three of those conditions, it's typically at least maybe 10 times the amount of what my buyers would typically spend for that home inspection up front. So there's a lot of reason monetarily to go ahead and make that choice. There's also kind of a substantive reason as well, because you know the quality of the home that you're about to buy, and that's priceless in my opinion. So looking at all this, again, we're looking at probably 5 to 10% conservatively as far as what you're going to need available to buy a house these days. There is not a lot of flexibility in loan programs. Most of the flexibility is going to come between the buyer and the seller. And I bring it up because a lot of times you can work with the seller in order to help with your down payment and your closing costs. So, for example, you can ask a seller for assistance at closing. You can actually offer more on the purchase price and then request the seller credit that same amount back to you at closing to pay for, again, closing costs. You can ask for seller financing, where the seller is the bank. You can ask the seller to do what's called an all-inclusive trust deed, which is allow you to go ahead and take over their loan as well as pay them a second lien, if you will, towards them directly for their equity. There's all these creative approaches that are absolutely allowable if you're working with the right negotiator and the person that has knowledge of loans and such, which obviously Home Again does. So with that, the short answer is, how much does it take to buy a house to these days? You're probably conservatively looking at about 5 to 10% with traditional loan programs. I hope this helps. Thanks so much.